driver has crashed into a COVID testing center.
Yes, we're expecting to get an update from fire and university police. Right now, we're just taking a live shot of the look of that, the scene of that crash. It looks pretty bad. So we are awaiting a news conference as soon. Oh, it's going. Let's go ahead and go out there to it.
We'll go with that too.
Go with details. If we have questions, we'll ask you.
Sounds good.
We just start with your first and last name.
Absolutely. So I'm Captain Anthony Burton, ANTHONY BURTON, with the Salt Lake City Fire Department.
Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. So today at 9:43, we had a call to an emergency. A vehicle struck a COVID testing center just west of Rice-Eccles Stadium. The vehicle was a pickup truck, crashed into the testing site, destroying two of those buildings, and then struck some of the testing staff. When our first crews got here, they had to isolate that vehicle and stop it from its forward progression, and then start the initial triage. There were 9 people that were treated. 4 of those were transported to local hospitals. 5 were treated and released on scene. The hospital staff are, of course, making sure that the remainder of the staff are being taken care of and safe, as well as their emotional well-being. We have the chief of the University Police Department here as well to speak to the incident itself, as well as we have a physician with the University of Utah to speak to the testing center, because this will markedly impact the ability to test at this site, as well as testing for the state of Utah. Do you have any questions?
Does it appear deliberate?
It did not. And the initial reports, it sounded more like a medical emergency. It is still under investigation, but the initial reports seemed like the driver was not aware of what they were doing.
What was the driver transported in what condition?
So the driver had some moderate injuries, and so it's kind of unknown exactly how bad those were, and whether it was a medical event prior to the incident or a traumatic event from the event. So,
speaking of medical event, what kind of staff or resources were called out to this incident?
So this was almost like a first alarm fire assignment. We also brought in our heavy rescue team because we had a structural impact. So whenever you have a structural collapse and damage, we bring in a specialty team. They actually stopped that vehicle from moving forward, shored up the building, which allowed them to safely rescue the rest of the individuals.
No matter who answers the question, will you keep looking forward for these guys?
Yeah,
that's okay.
I'm sorry about that. Any other questions?
I mean, it's a really difficult scene, and as you work through this, the concern first and foremost is for all those patients, and it's going to impact testing. When do you think this could be reopened again, potentially?
So that's an unknown. I mean, it's significant damage to this testing site. The University of Utah could better speak to when this would be reopened. They'll also give you some information for the public of alternate testing sites.
Sounds like you guys had a very quick response.
We did. We had seen people here within minutes. They have rapidly stopped the forward progression of that vehicle and started triage and treatment.
What about the actual tests? Have they been compromised that have already been done? Were they damaged?
Yeah, he can speak to that. So,
when you say medical emergency, I mean, can you walk us through some of those symptoms that you know, kind of...
So I can't speak to those initial reports because it is under investigation. The chief of police may have more of that information, but the initial reports we had was it didn't look like it was, it looked more of a medical nature, but that's all I can say.
Do you have an age on the driver?
I do not. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so right now we're listening to a news conference with Salt Lake Fire and police. So are we going to keep on listening in here? Okay, yeah, we're going to go with this.
This investigation is very early, so there are still a lot of unknowns to us, but I'm happy to try to answer what questions I can for you.
So what direction was he coming? Was he in the parking lot already? So how did he get into the building?
He was in the parking lot already. Reports we have is he came in through the wrong way. He was directed to go back out and come in through the proper entrance. At that point, he accelerated and impacted the buildings coming in through the line for COVID testing. So at this point, just like the the fire representative said. We have witnesses that indicate it looked like some sort of medical problem, but that's still under investigation, and we'll be talking to that driver as soon as we can.
How many people were hurt?
So the reports I have were 9 total. 4 were transported and 5 were treated and released at the scene, including the driver was transported.
How much of that was staff versus patrons coming to COVID testing?
I don't have that exact information at this time, so I couldn't answer that right now.
What time does this particular COVID location open up? And was there like a long line? Was he just one of the people in line?
I'm not exactly sure what time it opens up, but there was a little bit of a line. It appeared he was coming through the line. Fortunately, we did have a lot of witnesses, and this parking lot is under surveillance, so we do have a lot of surveillance to actually comb over and hopefully get a clearer picture of what happened. But all that has yet to be done. Anything else?
Any idea how long you guys would be here? This will be not a criminal investigation per se, but there's probably a lot of pieces of this puzzle we'll kind of put together physically.
So it'll be a little while. We still have some documentation to do, and then we still have some witnesses to talk to, but mainly we want to talk to the driver. This kind of incident, we're always approaching it from the potential of a criminal side, but like we mentioned before, it does appear that it might have been some sort of medical issue, and we'll dive into that and try to verify that as the investigation continues.
And I guess at this point, maybe counting your blessings, for lack of a better term, this could have been worse.
This could have been a lot worse. I mean, this is very, very fortunate that at this time it doesn't appear to be life-threatening injuries. But when you look at the damage and you see the speed of the truck coming in, it could have been much, much worse, of course, yeah.
They had nothing to protect a tent.
No, and well, it's a tent, and these are very light structures. It's basically a trailer-type structure. So no, it was very, very fortunate that the scene wasn't much, much worse.
And where was he driving in from? Was he driving in from that area right there?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to break away from this as they continue. We're going to obviously continue to follow this. The good thing is, at this point, it doesn't sound malicious, but still, there are 9 people who are injured in this when a pickup truck driver drove into a couple of trailers that are used as COVID testing sites there right near Rice-Eccles Stadium, with 4 of them in the hospital right now and 5 who are treated at the scene there this morning.
Yeah, and as Dan just mentioned, right now it does not look malicious. The driver, in fact, appears to have maybe had some sort of a medical problem, medical issue. As we were listening to the news conference, they talked about surveillance cameras, and they are going to have a lot of video to look through and should get a better idea of exactly what happened. But it sounded like the driver in the truck came in the wrong way, was told to go out and come back in the right way, and when he did, that's when the acceleration took place, and that's when he hit those people and that COVID testing center area.
And the bigger issue right now, though, for people who are looking for tests is this testing site, which is a very popular one, is down right now, and we don't know if they're going to have alternative testing sites anytime soon, but as we get word on that, we'll let you know.